The sky turned dark at noon, not from clouds or an eclipse, but from the massive ships that now hung over Seoul. Captain Jae-ho Kim stood on the roof of the Earth Defense Force headquarters, looking up with narrow eyes. 15 years in the military had not prepared him for this day. "Sir, emergency meeting in 5 minutes," said Dae-hyun Park, his communications specialist. The young man's face was pale, but his voice stayed steady. "I'll be right there," Jae-ho said, taking one last look at the alien ships. They were like giant black beetles hanging impossibly in the air. In the meeting room, screens showed the same scene playing out in Tokyo, Beijing, New York, London, and other major cities around the world. The aliens, calling themselves the Vol, had arrived without warning. General Han pushed a button and a new image appeared on the main screen. It showed one of the aliens. The room went quiet. The Vol stood 7 feet tall with a hard outer shell that looked like shiny black armor. Its body reminded Jae-ho of a praying mantis, but with 4 arms instead of 2. Most striking were its eyes, huge multifaceted orbs that seemed to catch every movement in the room. 2 hours ago, they sent this message to all world governments. At the same time, General Han said, the screen changed to show words in simple English. "Earth will submit or be conquered." "That's it?" asked Ha-eun Lee, the weapons expert on Jae-ho's team. Her hand rested on her sidearm, though it would be useless against the ships outside. "That's it," confirmed the general. "The United Nations is trying to establish communication, but meanwhile we need intelligence. Captain Kim, your team will gather information on these Vol. We need to know their weaknesses." Jae-ho nodded. His special tactics unit was the best choice for this mission. Besides Dae-hyun and Ha-eun, he had Do-yoon Choi, a field medic who could think fast under pressure, and Suji Kang, a technical genius who could hack almost any system. "We leave in 30 minutes, Jae-ho told his team. "Pack light. We need to move fast and stay hidden." The first Vol landed their smaller ships 3 hours later. They set up a base at Seoul Olympic Stadium, pushing out the humans with ease. Their weapons fired beams of bright blue energy that could cut through concrete. Their personal shields made bullets bounce off harmlessly. Jae-ho's team watched from half a mile away, using high-powered scopes. "Their technology is far beyond ours," Suji said, adjusting sensors on her custom-built scanner. "But living things always have weaknesses. We just need to find theirs." The team moved closer as night fell. They wore standard camouflage gear, patterns of green, brown, and black that helped them blend into the forests surrounding the eastern side of the city. At the edge of the tree line, they got their first close look at a Vol patrol. 3 aliens, moved with mechanical precision, scanning the area with those huge multifaceted eyes. "Don't move," Jae-ho whispered as one alien turned in their direction. The team froze. The Vol paused, its head tilting slightly. It seemed to look right at them, then moved on. "Did you see that?" Dae-hyun asked when the patrol was gone. "It looked right at us but didn't see us." "Maybe their vision works differently than ours," Do-yoon suggested. "Many insects on Earth see movement better than still objects." Suji checked readings on her scanner. "Their eyes detect heat and movement. When we stayed still, we blended with the background." "Let's test that theory," Jae-ho said. For the next several hours, they observed more Vol patrols. Each time, they confirmed the same thing. When they remained perfectly still, the aliens seemed blind to their presence. 3 days later, the news was grim. The aliens had rejected all attempts at peaceful communication. Their ambassador, if you could call it that, had met with world leaders once only to dismiss humans as primitive and obvious. The Vol didn't want to talk. They wanted Earth, and they were taking it. Seoul fell first with minimal resistance. The Vol weapons cut through tanks like they were made of paper. Their shields made most human weapons useless. Jae-ho's team retreated to a small base in the Taebaek Mountains, where they could continue gathering intelligence while staying safe from Vol patrols. "Look at this," Suji said one evening, showing them data on her tablet. "I've been analyzing their visual processing. Their eyes see more colors than ours do, including ultraviolet. But they have a strange blind spot." What kind of blind spot? Hayun asked, leaning forward. They can't process visual complexity the way we can. When something blends with its background using patterns, their brains seem to filter it out. That's why they didn't see us in the forest, Jae-ho realized. Our camouflage worked better than it should have. Do-yoon nodded slowly. From what I understand about insect vision on Earth, they're excellent at detecting movement but can be confused by certain patterns. The vole must have similar limitations. But they're aliens, Daehyun objected. They evolved on another planet. Yes, but evolution often finds similar solutions to similar problems, Do-yoon explained. Their eyes evolved to see in their environment, just like ours did in ours. Ha-un was already thinking ahead. So standard military camouflage works well against them. What if we designed something specifically to exploit this weakness? A plan began to form in Jae-ho's mind. Suji, I need you to gather more data on exactly how their vision works. Ha-un, start thinking about how we can improve our camouflage to target their specific weaknesses. What good will hiding do? Daehyun asked. Their weapons are still stronger than ours. Sometimes not being seen is more powerful than any weapon, Jae-ho said. If they can't see us, they can't fight us. A week later, the situation had grown desperate. The Vole had conquered most major cities across Asia and were moving into Europe and North America. Conventional military forces were failing everywhere. Jae-ho's team had set up a secure communication link with General Han, who had relocated to a hidden command center. Your observations about their visual processing might be the first real advantage we've found, the general said, his face grim on the video screen. We need to develop this into a workable strategy. We're already testing different camouflage patterns, Jae-ho reported. Suji has created prototypes that seem to be completely invisible to their sensors. Send us everything you have, ordered the general. We'll get our best people working on mass production. After the call ended, Jae-ho gathered his team. We've been on the defensive since they arrived. Now it's time to fight back. He spread a map on the table showing the Vole Command Center in downtown Seoul. If our new camouflage works as well as we think, we can walk right into their headquarters without being seen. That sounds like suicide, Daehyun said, but there was new hope in his voice. No, Jae-ho replied with a small smile. It sounds like hunting, and humans have been expert hunters for thousands of years. Outside, the alien ships still darkened the sky, but for the first time since they appeared, Jae-ho felt something new, not just hope, but confidence. The Vole had advanced technology and powerful weapons, but they had never faced an enemy they couldn't see. 2 weeks had passed since the Vole first darkened Earth's skies. Humanity was losing the war badly. Cities fell one after another across the globe. The alien technology made human weapons look like toys. In their mountain bunker, Jae-ho's team worked day and night. They had turned the old military base into a research center focused on one goal, exploiting the Vole's visual weakness. Look at this, Suji said, pointing to her computer screen. She had been studying video footage of Vole patrols for days. Their eyes don't work like ours at all. The team gathered around her workstation. The screen showed heat signatures of Vole soldiers walking through a forest. They see heat very well, Suji explained, and they can detect even small movements, but patterns confuse them. Ha-yoon nodded. It's like they can't process camouflage. Their brains don't understand that something might be hiding on purpose. Exactly, Suji agreed. I think their planet never had predators that used hiding as a hunting method. They never evolved to detect it. Do-yoon, who had studied animal behavior before becoming a medic, added, on Earth, many species evolved to hide from predators or to hunt prey. Both predator and prey developed ways to use visual tricks. The Vole never needed to. Jae-ho felt a surge of hope. So we have thousands of years of evolutionary experience that they lack. Yes, Suji said, and I think we can use that against them. She showed them her latest project, a new kind of camouflage suit. It wasn't just colored to blend with surroundings. It had special patterns that specifically confused the Vole visual system. Their eyes see these patterns as background noise, she explained. Their brains filter it out automatically. Dae-hyun looked skeptical. So they'll just not see us? That's the idea, Suji said. I've tested it on captured Vol sensor technology. To their eyes, these suits might as well be invisible. Ha-yoon immediately saw the military potential. If this works, we could walk right past their guards. We need to test it in the field, Jae-ho decided. And I know just the place. The next morning, they made contact with General Han through their secure channel. We have something that might change the course of the war, Jae-ho told him. But we need to test it first. What do you have in mind? The general asked. There's a small Vol outpost 5 miles from our position. They're using it to monitor communications. We'll infiltrate it, gather intelligence, and get out. All without being detected. The general looked concerned. That's extremely risky, Captain. With respect, sir, we're losing this war. We need to take risks. After a moment, the general nodded. Proceed, but be careful. We can't afford to lose your team. That night, Jae-ho led his team down the mountain. Each wore one of Suji's special camouflage suits. The material felt odd, slightly stiff and covered with irregular patterns. Remember, Jae-ho whispered as they approached the outpost. Move slowly. Their eyes are drawn to quick movements. The Vol outpost was a small building surrounded by a fence. 2 alien guards stood at the entrance, their large compound eyes scanning the area constantly. The team moved carefully toward the fence. Jae-ho's heart raced as they came within view of the guards. This was the moment of truth. If Suji's suits didn't work, they would be caught immediately. But the guards didn't react. They continued scanning, looking right past the humans as if they weren't there. Jae-ho signaled his team to move forward. They climbed the fence slowly, one by one. Still no reaction from the guards. Once inside the compound, they moved to the main building. Dae-hyun worked on the lock while the others kept watch. The door clicked open and they slipped inside. The interior was dimly lit with a strange purple glow. 2 Vol sat at control panels, their back shells gleaming in the light. Neither turned as the humans entered. Suji moved to an unoccupied console and plugged in a small device. This will copy their data, she whispered. It'll take about 5 minutes. Those 5 minutes felt like hours. Jae-ho watched the Vol operators, ready to act if they were discovered. But the aliens continued working, completely unaware of the humans in the room. When Suji's device finished copying, she gave a thumbs up. They left as quietly as they had entered, passing the guards again without incident. Once they were safely back in the mountains, the team finally allowed themselves to celebrate. It worked, Dae-hyun exclaimed. They didn't see us at all. We were standing right in front of them, Ha-yoon said, shaking her head in amazement. This changes everything. Jae-ho looked at Suji with new respect. You've given us a weapon that might save humanity. The data they stole proved invaluable. It contained Vol communication protocols, patrol schedules, and most importantly, the location of their main command center in Seoul. General Han was impressed. This is the breakthrough we've been waiting for, he said during their next communication. We're already producing more of these special camouflage suits based on your designs. What's the plan? Jae-ho asked. We're organizing resistance cells across the globe, the general explained. Each will be equipped with these suits, but we need to strike at the heart of their operation first. That's where your team comes in. He outlined a bold mission. Jae-ho's team would infiltrate the Vol command center in Seoul and plant disruptive devices on their main power core. If successful, it would temporarily disable their shields and weapons, giving human forces a chance to strike. It's a suicide mission, Ha-yoon said after the call ended. No, Jae-ho corrected her. It's a hunting mission, and we're the predators now. Over the next few days, they prepared carefully. Suji improved the camouflage suits, making them even more effective. Ha-yoon modified their weapons to be completely silent. Do-yoon prepared medical kits that could be hidden inside the suits. Dae-hyun, meanwhile, studied the Vol communication patterns. They use a simple system, he reported. It's advanced technology, but the actual communication methods are basic. No code words, no security phrases. Why would they need them? Duyun pointed out. They've probably never fought an enemy that could imitate them before. On the 5th day, they were ready. As dawn broke, Jae-ho gathered his team for one final briefing. This mission could change the course of the war, he told them, but it's extremely dangerous. Once we're inside their command center, we'll be surrounded by hundreds of Vol. If even one spots us, we might not make it out. We understand the risks, Suji said. The others nodded in agreement. Then let's go hunting, Jae-ho said, as they moved down the mountain toward the occupied city. Jae-ho felt a strange mix of fear and confidence. The Vol had come to Earth expecting an easy victory. They had superior technology, weapons, and ships, but they had never faced humans before. They didn't understand what it meant to fight a species that had spent its entire history learning to hide, to hunt, and to survive against the odds. The Vol were about to learn a harsh lesson. Sometimes, the most dangerous predator is the one you cannot see. The sun was setting as Jae-ho's team reached the outskirts of Seoul. The city had changed in just 2 weeks. Full patrol ships floated between buildings. Strange alien structures had been built on top of human ones. The once busy streets were nearly empty, with only a few humans walking quickly with their heads down. Remember the plan, Jae-ho said quietly. We move slowly. No sudden movements. Stay in formation. They were all wearing Suji's special camouflage suits. The new version was even better than the first. The pattern seemed to shift slightly as they moved, constantly confusing any watching Vol eyes. The command center is 2 miles ahead, Daehyun said, checking a small device that showed a map of the city. They've taken over City Hall. Moving through the occupied city was strange. Vol soldiers walked past them without a glance. Once, a patrol came within 3 feet of Ha-eun, but the alien showed no sign of seeing her. It's like we're ghosts, Duyun whispered. As they got closer to City Hall, the Vol presence grew stronger. Dozens of alien soldiers guarded the building. Large weapons were mounted on the roof. Force field generators hummed at each corner. The security is even tighter than we expected, Ha-eun observed. But they still can't see us, Jae-ho reminded her. That's all that matters. They found a side entrance with only 2 guards. The team waited patiently until another Vol patrol distracted the guards, then slipped through the door. Inside, the building had been transformed. The walls glowed with that same purple light they had seen at the outpost. Alien technology filled every room. Vol moved purposefully through the halls, their hard shells clicking against the floor. Suji consulted her scanner. The power core should be 3 floors down. They found a stairwell and moved down slowly. The lower levels were even more changed than the upper ones. It was like walking into an alien ship. The walls were covered with a strange, shiny material. The air smelled different, metallic and dry. On the 3rd floor down, they encountered a problem. A large room filled with at least 20 Vol workers. The power core sat in the center, a glowing blue cylinder that pulsed with energy. We can't cross that room without being noticed, Daehyun whispered. Even with the camouflage, they'll bump into us. Jae-ho studied the room. We need a distraction. He pointed to a control panel near the door. Suji, can you do something with that? She examined it from a distance. I think so. It looks like an environmental control system. If I can access it, I might be able to create a false alarm. Do it, Jae-ho ordered. Suji moved carefully to the panel and connected a small device to it. Her fingers moved quickly over the screen of her tablet. After a tense minute, alarms began to sound throughout the building. Red lights flashed, and a harsh noise filled the air. The effect on the Vol was immediate. They abandoned their workstations and moved with purpose toward the exits. Within seconds, the room was empty except for 2 guards who remained by the power core. Now's our chance, Jae-ho said. Ha-eun, the devices. Ha-eun pulled 4 small discs from her pack. These were the disruptive devices, designed to temporarily overload the power core and shut down Vol systems across the city. The team moved across the room, careful to avoid the two remaining guards. They reached the power core without incident. Ha-Un began placing the devices at specific points around the base of the cylinder. "This will take 2 minutes," she whispered. Those 2 minutes felt like forever. Jae-ho watched the guards, ready to act if they noticed anything unusual. But the Vol remained at their posts, seemingly unaware of the humans just a few meters away. "Done," Ha-Un finally said. "The timer is set for 30 minutes. That should give us time to get clear." They were halfway back across the room when disaster struck. One of the guards moved unexpectedly, stepping directly into Do-yoon's path. The collision sent both of them stumbling. The Vol made a high-pitched clicking sound, clearly an alarm call. Its compound eyes swiveled, trying to focus on what had hit it. "Run!" Jae-ho ordered. They abandoned stealth and sprinted for the exit. Behind them, the confused guard was still trying to understand what had happened. It hadn't clearly seen them. The camouflage was still working, but it knew something was wrong. As they reached the stairwell, alarms began to sound again. Different from the false alarm Suji had triggered, these were deeper, more urgent. "They know something's happening," Dae-hyun said as they climbed the stairs. "But they don't know what." When they reached the ground floor, chaos had erupted. Vol soldiers ran in all directions, weapons ready. But they weren't firing. They had no target to aim at. "Move slowly again," Jae-ho instructed. "They're looking for fast movement." The team forced themselves to walk calmly toward the exit. All around them, Vol searched frantically for the intruders. Some passed within inches of the humans but still couldn't see them. Outside, the situation was the same. The entire area around City Hall was filled with confused, angry aliens, but none could spot the humans walking right past them. "This is incredible," Do-yoon whispered as they made their way through the alien forces. "They know we're here, but they can't find us." They were 3 blocks away when the first explosion lit up the night sky. The disruptive devices had activated, overloading the power core. Blue energy crackled through the air. The force field, generators around City Hall failed with a loud cracking sound. All across the city, Vol technology began to shut down. Their weapons stopped glowing. Their ships fell from the sky. Their communication systems went silent. And in that moment of confusion, human resistance fighters emerged from hiding places throughout Seoul. They had been waiting for this signal. Armed with conventional weapons, they attacked the suddenly vulnerable aliens. "It's working," Ha-un said, watching the battle unfold. "The plan is actually working." Jae-ho's team made their way to the rendezvous point, an old subway station on the edge of the city. There they found General Han waiting with a small force of soldiers. "Mission accomplished, sir," Jae-ho reported. The general nodded with satisfaction. "Your team just changed the course of this war, Captain. The same operation is happening in cities around the world right now. For the first time, we're fighting back." "How long will their systems be down?" Dae-hyun asked. "Our scientists estimate 8 hours, the general replied. "Not long, but enough time to cause serious damage to their forces." "And after that?" Suji asked. The general smiled grimly. "After that, we move to Phase 2. Thanks to your discovery, we now have thousands of these special camouflage suits. We're going to take this fight to the Vol mothership itself." Jae-ho looked at his team. They were tired but determined. What had seemed impossible 2 weeks ago now felt within reach. Humans were fighting back, using their oldest skill, the ability to hide from predators and become predators themselves. "When do we leave for the mothership?" he asked. "Tomorrow," the general said. "Get some rest. You're going to need it." 3 months had passed since the Vol first arrived on Earth. What started as an easy conquest for them had turned into a nightmare. Across the globe, human resistance fighters used special camouflage suits to attack and disappear. The aliens could not understand how humans kept getting past their security. In their hidden base, Jae-ho's team prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. The plan was bold. Infiltrate the Vol mothership in orbit and shut down their main systems. "This is our chance to end the war," General Han told them during the final briefing. "Our scientists have studied the technology we've captured. We now know how to trigger a full system reset on their mothership. How do we get up there? Ha-Yun asked the obvious question. The general pointed to a diagram on the screen. The Vol used transport beams to move between their ships and the ground. We've located one in what used to be Gangnam Station. Your team will use it to board the mothership. What about the camouflage suits? Dae-hyun asked. Will they work on the mothership too? Suji nodded. I've made some final improvements. These new suits block their thermal scanners too. As long as we move carefully, they won't see us at all. Jae-ho looked at each member of his team. They had come so far together. Any questions before we move out? Just one, Do-yoon said. What happens? If we succeed, will the Vol leave Earth? That's the plan, the general said. Without their central command system, their forces will be disorganized. Our scientists think they'll retreat rather than fight a losing battle. As dawn broke, Jae-ho led his team through the ruins of Seoul. Much of the city had been damaged in the fighting of the past months. Some buildings were completely destroyed. Others bore the black scorch marks of Vol weapons. But there were also signs of hope. Human resistance fighters moved through the streets, wearing camouflage patterns that confused Vol eyes. They attacked alien patrols and disappeared before the Vol could respond. We've come a long way from hiding in the mountains, Ha-Yun said as they watched a resistance team take down a Vol patrol. They reached Gangnam Station by midday. Once a busy subway hub, it was now a Vol transport center. Alien soldiers guarded the entrance, but they were nervous, their huge eyes constantly scanning for enemies they couldn't see. They're afraid, Do-yoon observed. They know humans could be anywhere watching them. Good, Jae-ho said. Fear makes them careless. The team slipped past the guards easily. Inside the station, the Vol had built a large circular platform, surrounded by strange machinery. Every few minutes, aliens would step onto the platform and disappear in a flash of blue light. That's our ride, Suji said. They waited until a group of Vol soldiers stepped onto the platform. As the blue light began to glow, the team rushed forward and joined them. The aliens didn't notice the humans standing among them. There was a moment of disorientation. Then Jae-ho found himself standing on an identical platform, but now surrounded by the metallic walls of the mothership. We made it, Dae-hyun whispered. The mothership was massive. The corridors seemed to stretch forever. Vol moved everywhere, busy with their duties. None noticed the 5 humans walking among them. Suji consulted her scanner. The main control center should be this way. They followed her through the maze-like ship. Everything was alien. The lighting, the air, the sounds. It felt like walking through a giant insect hive. After an hour of careful movement, they reached a massive door guarded by 4 heavily armed Vol soldiers. That must be the control center, Jae-ho said. But how do we get past those guards? They observed for several minutes, watching as Vol officers approached the door. The guards would step aside, allowing them to pass. We need to wait for someone to open the door, Suji suggested, then slip in behind them. They didn't have to wait long. A high-ranking Vol officer approached. Its shell was decorated with glowing symbols that seemed to indicate importance. The guards immediately moved aside and the door slid open. Now, Jae-ho whispered. The team moved quickly, following close behind the officer as it entered the control center. Inside was a vast room filled with Vol at various stations. At the center stood a massive alien, larger than any they had seen before. Its shell was deep red instead of black. That must be their leader, Dae-hyun whispered. Suji pointed to a glowing column at the far end of the room. That's the main system hub. That's where we need to plant the reset device. Getting to it wouldn't be easy. The room was crowded with Vol, all moving around constantly. Even with the camouflage suits, they risked bumping into someone. We need another distraction, Jae-ho decided. He turned to Ha-Eun. Set one of your devices to overload. Place it by the door. Ha-Eun nodded. She took a small disk from her pack, adjusted something on it, and carefully placed it near the entrance. Then they moved to the side of the room and waited. 2 minutes later, the device exploded with a bright flash and loud bang. The Vole reacted instantly, rushing toward the disturbance. Even the large red leader moved to see what had happened. "Now's our chance," Jay-Ho said. They ran across the now empty center of the room to the system hub. Suji immediately began working, connecting a device to the alien technology. "This will take 1 minute," she said, her fingers moving quickly. Tior. Vole were returning to their stations, the excitement of the explosion fading. They were running out of time. "Hurry," Jay-Ho urged. "Done," Suji announced just as the red leader returned to the center of the room. Suddenly, all the lights in the control center flickered. Alarm sounds blared from every direction. The Vole began clicking and chirping in what could only be panic. "The system is resetting," Suji explained as they backed away from the hub. "It will shut down all their systems across Earth, too." The large red Vole was shouting orders, its forearms gesturing wildly. It turned and seemed to look directly at them, even though they wore the camouflage suits. "It senses something is wrong," Du-Yun said nervously. The red leader took a step toward them. Then another. Its compound eyes fixed on their position. "It can see us," Daehyun whispered in fear. Jay-Ho made a quick decision. He removed his camouflage hood, revealing his human face to the alien leader. The red Vole froze. Its mandibles clicked, rapidly in what might have been surprise. "We beat you," Jay-Ho said simply, knowing the alien couldn't understand his words but might understand his meaning. "Not with better technology, but with something you don't have, the ability to hide." For a moment, human and alien stared at each other. Then alarms blared even louder as the ship began to shake. "We need to go," Ha-Yun urged. "The transport system will shut down soon." Jay-Ho nodded and replaced his hood. The team raced out of the control center, past confused Vole soldiers who couldn't see them. They made it back to the transport platform just as the systems were failing. The blue light flickered unstably as they stepped onto it. There was a moment of terrible disorientation, longer than before. Then they were back in Gangnam Station, collapsing onto the floor as the transport system shut down behind them. Outside, they heard cheering. Human resistance fighters were watching as Vole ships across the sky began to move, not attacking, but retreating, heading up to join the mothership. 3 days later, they stood with General Han on the roof of the EDF headquarters, watching as the last of the Vole ships disappeared into space. "They're going home," the general said. "Our victory." "Not just our victory," Jay-Ho corrected. "A victory for every human who learned to hide from predators, who developed camouflage, who became a hunter instead of prey." The Vole had come with superior technology and weapons, but they had never faced enemies like humans before, beings who understood that sometimes the most powerful advantage is not being seen at all,